Del K. Burton. I'm about to just go ham on Philip Anthony Mitchell calling out the Hebrew Israelites. First of all, let me tell you who I am. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. And so we understand doctrinally where I stand. I'm a Christian. I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. I'm a Christian. But Philip Anthony Mitchell, you should never have called out the purple and gold. Never, for multiple reasons. Let me start with just the background for some people who don't know who these people are. Philip Anthony Mitchell is the pastor of 2819 Church in Atlanta. He's a hoodie pastor. Wears all black, never wears anything else other than black. Wears a hoodie, jeans, very demonstrative. He is non-charismatic, although he is very animated because he doesn't fit the charismatic movement whatsoever. He is a Protestant in his doxology, in his doctrine, in his theology. He's historically inept. He's extremely ignorant about the historicity of Jesus Christ. He has said multiple times that Jesus Christ is not a person of melanin, not a black person. He is very, 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 very wrong about that. He doesn't understand the historicity of the Afro-Semitic nature of the Israelite and the first century Israelite, of which Yeshua was. And so he is preaching a colonizer's Christianity. His Christianity is for the colonized mind. His Christianity is whitewashed Christianity, but he's doing it in a kind of New York thug kind of way. And he's extremely popular. He has a very successful organization. I'll call it that, an organization. Then we have Bishop Nathaniel. Bishop Nathaniel is also a very successful religious leader of his version, I have to say his version, of his Hebrew Israelite group. All Hebrew Israelites are not equal. They're not the same. They don't have all the same doctrinal perspectives. The purple and gold as we know them from America, they don't speak Hebrew. They don't understand Hebrew, the language per se, and they don't necessarily believe there is a real Hebrew function at all. They have a lot of issues when it comes to the Christian doctrine. However, they do aspire to believing in Jesus Christ is God. That is part of their doctrine. Now, as we go further with them, the Hebrew Israelite movement of that particular persuasion is very, very upfront when it comes to standing up for the people. When it comes to standing up for black people, the Hebrew Israelites show up. That's number one, why Philip Anthony Mitchell should never have put his mouth on another black organization in America. Because when black issues happen, when serious situations happen, Bishop Nathaniel's men show up. And that's why me, as a Christian, will never put my mouth on them as far as their activism in our community. I will never put my mouth on those men because they show up. They show up organized. They show up serious. They show up rehearsed. They show up on time. And they show up in their numbers. And I'll never put my mouth on those young men because of what they stand for in the activism culture of what is taking place in this moment, in this season of America. I have never seen 2819 show up to speak to issues happening in the black community. They show up to park in other people's driveways. They show up for bylaw offenses. He shows up crying because his landlord kicked him out of the building, but I don't see him showing up for those specific issues. And so now he has taken it upon himself to do two things simultaneously. Number one, he has said that if the Hebrew Israelites show up in his parking lot, that they will what? They will chase them out or try to win them for the gospel. So you're saying that this Christianity that is 2,000 years old cannot take a little bit of scrutiny, cannot take a little bit of individuals coming and trying to speak something that is not necessarily up the tree of your particular ideological leanings, you can't handle that? You should be able to handle that. You should be able to handle that. And the reason they're coming for you is because of your colonizer Christianity, because you've repeatedly said that Yeshua is a white man. You've taught your church that. And if you haven't said it out of your own mouth multiple times, why is it that multiple individuals who are interviewed from your church believe it? Black men believe it. Why do you come after the ethnicity of Christ, but then at the other side of your same mouth say that we have made our melanin an idol? Then don't discuss it. Don't talk about Yeshua's race if you don't want us to come back and say you're wrong. You're wrong. We know you went to Rod Parsley's Bible College. We know where your information came from. And brother, you're just wrong. And to add insult to injury, you're coming after one of the strongest black activism groups that America currently has. You're out of your mind to do that. And if you're out of your mind to do that, and so you have a disproportionate understanding of what it means to be black in America and to be a Christian black man in America. You have a disproportionate understanding of that, and that's problematic. And that's why you created this problem, because two black organizations, I will refer to you guys as, should not be fighting right now. They shouldn't be fighting. Y'all should not be at each other's throat. But you wanted to kick the hornet's nest of this powerful black organization. And the devil is not, and I heard a couple of you idiots online, right, referring to these black Hebrews. They call themselves black Hebrews. I'm gonna call them black Hebrews because they call themselves black Hebrews. I know that Damona has a different crew of black Hebrews, but they're calling themselves black Hebrews. I'm gonna respect their terminology, just like I respect Philip Michael Anthony declaring he's a Christian, right? Because I can argue that too. So, but if he calls himself a Christian, I'll leave him alone. They call themselves black Hebrews, I'll leave him alone. But these black Hebrews are individuals who show up. They show up, and I don't think in this current culture of what is taking place in America, you need to throw stones at other black groups, especially when you have organizations that are attacking a multiplicity of black religious institutions, calling them anti-Semitic. Imagine calling Hebrew Israelites anti-Semitic. Imagine calling men who say we are Semitic anti-Semitic. Imagine that, right? So you have guys like David Greenblatt and these organizations like AIPAC. They don't want these Hebrew Israelite guys to start diving into their culture, diving into the history. I don't agree with everything that they teach, but I certainly do not agree with everything Philip Michael Anthony teaches. And Philip Anthony Mitchell teaches. That's his name. Philip Anthony Mitchell. I don't agree with everything he teaches. I don't agree with his methods. I don't agree with his absenteeism of holy dress either. I don't agree with hoodie church. I don't agree with it. Don't agree with that too. All of that. But at the end of the day, he's doing a work for Christ. He's leading people towards Christ. Christ is being preached. So I'm not going to throw rocks at his head. I don't like his ministry. Personally, I don't like his ministry. He's not for me. He's not an intellectual. He's saying simple things in a very emphatic way, using hand gestures and all that. And people like it. Wonderful. People are being led to Christ. He's not a brother who can stimulate me at all. He has an elementary school understanding of the gospel, as far as I'm concerned. But people love him. So go ahead. Christ is being preached. And when these brothers show up, they showed up for Kyrie. They show up for other activism scenarios that take place in America. Leave them alone. And if they're in your parking lot talking to people, you should do just what Jesus did. If you're supposed to be the man of God, go out there and talk to them like Jesus talked to the so-called scribes and Pharisees. If you want to, go out and talk to them. Go and have a conversation with them. Let's see what kind of Holy Ghost you got, brother. But don't tell them that we're going to run you off. Come on, man. You can't run those men off. You don't have men in your church like that. You don't have men in your church like that. If we had black men in the Christian church like these brothers in the purple and gold, we would be a long way off. And all of you little pundits calling these men, oh, you know, the synagogue of Satan. How are you calling them the synagogue of doggone Satan? How are you referring to them from Revelation 3? These are not the men of Revelation 3, you dummies. I don't understand. Sometimes it just bothers me. You know, I got to come on here and talk to you. I don't understand when men in America black men, let me say it's perfect. When black men in America do not understand the moment of history they're standing in. Malcolm and Martin didn't agree sometimes. We know that at the early phase they didn't agree. But at the end of the day, they were both fighting for the same thing. They were fighting for the freedom and the safety and the liberty of black people in America. They were fighting for the same thing. And they found common ground because of that. And yes, ideologically, they are as far as the East is from the West. But you cannot deny the leadership attributes of Bishop Nathaniel. And I will not sit here and deny the leadership attributes of Philip. I can't remember the brother's name all the time because I don't like it, but Philip Anthony Mitchell. I'm not going to. I don't like his ministry. I have nothing with the brother. I don't know the brother personally, but I don't like his ministry because it upsets me. Right? Just like certain things Bishop Nathaniel says that I don't agree with doctrinally, accepts me. But I don't know him to dislike him like that. I just don't agree with everything. But what the organizations are doing, the fruit of what the organizations are doing, I can't sit back here and pick a side. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to say, I'm going to call you out. You shouldn't have opened your mouth on those people. And you should have left those people alone. There were some people you should have just left alone. You should have left those boys alone. Not pick no fight with them. They come out into your parking lot, give them something to eat. Bring them some water. Bring them some sandwiches. Shake their hand. Right? Learn their names. That's what you should do. Because all of my interactions with the purple and the gold, and yes, I stood on the street corner arguing doctrine with them, but you know what? It always ended in love. Always ended in handshakes. Always ended in hugs. Always ended in let's stay in contact. Always. Every time. Because I understand what those young men are doing. And I'm not going to pick a fight with my backup. Ha! You got to be crazy. You got to be crazy. Let me see what y'all got to say. Yahweh is not white. Yeah, we're talking about Yeshua, right? And we understand that Yeshua is God in the flesh. But the issue is he declares that Jesus is white. Now they want to claim that, yeah, them folks fight. We don't need to intervene in folks' destruction. Yeah. We have way too many major issues to me in the black community than having these two substantially large recent movements. They're recent and they're large, and I will say they're recent movements. Philip Anthony Mitchell. I'll never get this boy's name right. I don't know why. His church is a fad church. It's recent. It's taking off. People like it. It's a fad. It's a growing fad, right? And we'll see how long it lasts. But it's a substantial movement, and it's very difficult to get up there and start throwing stones at something that's a substantial movement. Again, I think there's some major issues with his doctrine. Very major issues. Very major issues. But at the end of the day, Christ is being preached. And that's what the scripture says. Christ is being preached. And looking at all the feedback and all the stuff, and I hate to see when these guys get up on their soapboxes and start talking mess, calling the Hebrew Israelites the devil and all that. Cut that stuff out, man. Cut that stuff out. Because I would love to examine all of your Christian doctrine. And I want to hear your Christian doctrine. I know Philip Anthony Mitchell's Christian doctrine, and it's flawed greatly. That's why he has no right to call anybody a false teacher, because his doctrine is flawed greatly. And he keeps it simple, and he should keep it simple because he's not a deep thinker. But his doctrine is very flawed. His historicity, if he even knows what that word is extremely flawed. His anthropology is off. He doesn't know what it means to be Afro-Semitic. He doesn't know the indigenous people of the region. He does not understand history effectively if he could somehow in his mind believe that Yeshua in the first century was either European or was of some pigment that was not clearly black. He was a black person. And every major ancient faith group knows that. Even Putin, pulling it out of the Orthodox libraries of pictures of a black Jesus. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church will tell you. The Oriental Orthodox Church will tell you. Every Eastern Orthodox Church, Slavic Orthodox of all types, will tell you that Yeshua was a black person. For you not to know that as a black man is inexcusable. Now, if that's not the only tenet that we talk about in Christianity, but it is so important for the black expression of faith in America, considering how America was formed. It is an important thing, and we're not going to allow the colonizer to wipe that. Oh, well, you black people always bringing up that Jesus was white, Jesus was black, because it's important to the conversation of people who have been marginalized, people who have been told that they are subhuman, people who do not still have a nation. I want to let you know that the black American is worse off than the Palestinian. The black American is worse off. Oh, here we go again. Yes, because there is no true nation for those people. America is not their nation. They are not the citizens of America. They are the chattel of America. You are the chattel of America. Chattel slavery. You are the chattel of America. You are not citizens. You are more indigenous than you are actually naturalized citizens. So you have to understand there's a grave difference, and then to determine what was the methodology of how you got there. Where did you come from? What did you believe beforehand? Who were you? These are very important things. Very important things. And to have people like Philip Anthony Mitchell in one brush of an ignorant voice and one silly YouTube video say Jesus wasn't a white man, and people go crazy for it, which is why your church is growing, by the way. Which is why your church is growing. Your church is growing because you are what the colonizer wants to be said about the Christian faith. If you were sensible and had actual information, your church you'd have 15 people in there beating on a tambourine. But because you are speaking the colonizer's message, you have hit all of the frequency algorithms of demonic confusion, because the devil is the father of lies, and he will let false information get popular, and therefore just on that alone is the reason for your success. You're successful because you're a black man who has endorsed a historical fallacy, that a fallacy that historically people wanted to be propagated. And so they have allowed you to be successful, to echo the rhetoric of falsehood, so that individuals of color will sit back and say, oh, well, maybe Philip Anthony Mitchell is right because he's so popular. They want your errors to be popular. They want your lack of information to be popular. They want your ignorance to be popular. And now they have placed you in the forefront to fight against individuals who their chief stance is that black people are the people of the book. And they have you as the poster boy, as the scapegoat, okay? They have you as the step it and fetch it black preacher who's going to stand in the face of actual accuracy, even though the doctrinal perspectives of the Hebrew Israelite movement, of that particular movement and some others, is not what the Christians believe. They still want you to be the voice that stands and shouts down individuals who are saying at least one thing true, that Yeshua HaMashiach was the black man. And you are the fool playing their game. You are a marionette. You are a puppet of a white supremacist Christian perspective that is allowing you to be popular. And if you don't understand that, brother, you are just part of the charade that is being played on some black people, but not all. And so when these young men stand up and they actually have the historicity right, and they might have some other things wrong, you need to shut up and sit down. That's what you need to do. Leave them alone, because look what you've done. I don't know what to tell y'all. He chooses this for his financial gain. I'm not going to go and say Philip Anthony Mitchell is out for financial gain. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. But he has definitely done well. He's definitely done financially well. I do not see, and I'll say see it, I do not see Bishop Nathaniel begging for money, begging for $1 million from here. I don't see that. I don't see them. I don't see the Purple and Gold asking anyone for money, begging for money. But I see Philip Anthony Mitchell begging, crying for money to keep his hustle alive. I've seen him do that. The whole world has seen him do that, right? The pundits on social media seen him do that, begging to keep his hustle alive. I'll say his hustle alive. So now he's got the money to rent out a 20,000 square foot arena for a prayer meeting. What a bad utilization of financial resources. Wasn't this guy just crying for a few $1 million to build a church? Now you've got money to rent out an arena to have a prayer meeting? That seems like a misappropriation of funds to me. Why don't you go get your building? How much money did you spend for that one prayer meeting? God told you to do it. God told you to go and spend all that money for a prayer meeting. You couldn't have a prayer meeting in your church? You couldn't put that as a down payment on this building that you're always renting buildings. You want to buy your own building. You could, this is what I'm saying with these guys. And you guys co-signed the nonsense. You co-signed the nonsense, okay? When black people were being lynched in America, did I see 2819 march and say we're gonna be the wall between aggression towards black people? When the HBCUs were being attacked after Charlie Kirk was shot by a white person, and they were blaming black people for that, did Philip Anthony Mitchell, whatever the heck your name is, I'm never going to learn your name probably because you're not important, but did you take your folks in March? No, you didn't. You didn't do that. You became part of the apology tour. That's what you became. And so please, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You preach a colonizer's message. You're dressed like a New York City shell game. One of these shell game dudes in New York. You don't carry the gospel in a way that makes me think this is a holiness movement, because you're not a holiness movement. You're shouting, screaming, telling individuals, give your life to Jesus, give your life to Jesus, with your baseball cap on backwards. You're a fad, in my opinion. And you don't do anything for our community. So you have no right to speak to guys who do stuff for our community, right? And I'm a Christian. So the Christian is telling you that. Christian is telling you that. So I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of good things to say about that particular leader, even though he's doing a very good thing. He's doing a great thing. He's leading a lot of people to Christ. But I don't like him. Period. I don't like him. He's leading a lot of people to Christ. All right? I've never had a conversation with Doctor, keep calling him Doctor, Bishop Nathaniel. But I'll tell you what, when that man gets on his telephone, gets on his Zoom call, whatever he gets on, and he tells those boys to show up somewhere, they will fly across the world. They'll show up in England. They will show up in Tokyo. They'll show up in China. Those black men will show up in their numbers. And let me tell you one more thing. As a man who came out of a paramilitary organization, it's not easy to teach men to march and to march in sync. Okay? Those men have been rehearsed. They know how to march. They know how to parade. Those guys are not a joke. And you better stop messing with the purple and gold. And all you guys who got negative things to say about the purple and gold, when they come for, when not them, but when situations in America that are specific to this Trumponian America, this evil America that you are all living in, when that regime comes for you, who are you going to call? You used to call Al Sharpton. Still calling Al Sharpton and Crump. Okay? Those guys are going to show up for a check. They'll show up to sue City Hall. They'll show up to sue the police services. But when the regular citizens rise up and declare that your black existence is something they don't want to see, because you still have a fringe group of people like that, crazy like that in America, who's going to show up for you? It will not be Philip Anthony Mitchell. I'll tell you right now. And so you better have nothing crazy to say about the purple and gold, because those guys will show up to defend their people. That's all I gotta say. And if you don't like it, too bad. You're on the wrong side of history. You're on the wrong side of history. I don't care if you're a Christian, Muslim, or Hebrew. If you don't see the activism value of that group of brothers, then you're on the wrong side of history. I don't care what you think they believe or don't believe, because in every great revolution, you need soldiers. You need soldiers. Every great revolution, you need soldiers. And those men are soldiers. Those men are the soldiers of the black community. And you might not like their ideology, you might think it's a little off, but so what? Guess what? The tribe of Reuben didn't have the same mission as the tribe of Levi, didn't have the same destiny as the tribe of Judah and of the tribe of Benjamin. They had different things to do. And God told Reuben, listen, they didn't want their land to be in the promised land. Did you know that? Reuben said, we want our land to be on this side of Jordan. And Moses said, be careful, because this is what the people did and God didn't let them cross over. You, Reubenites, you will fight first and you will fight in front. And until we get settled on the other side of Jordan, you cannot claim your land on this side of Jordan. You must be the forefront fighters. You must be those guys. You must go in front. And these men are going in front. And you better be quiet about them. Be quiet about them. Stop calling them false this and false that. They worship Yeshua HaMashiach. Go after the guys who do not believe that Jesus is God. Go after AIPAC, who do not believe that Jesus is God. Go after them. You won't. You won't, Philip, because those guys are your guys. Those guys are the guys you want. Huh? Go after Greenblatt. Don't go after the people who believe that Yeshua is God. Be careful. Leave them goers alone. This is Del K. Brereton. This is The Real Spiel. Christ, the King, Yeshua, is coming back. Amen. We'll talk soon.